Troy Garvey, man. I mean, it's been a while since we've been together, man. So tell me something. What's the genesis of this new idea that you have with this absolute change? Where that came from? What's the genesis behind that?
Brother, well, it's a pleasure to be here with you too, my brother, and I thank you so much for your donated time. You don't get time back, so we have to be conscious of that.
Absolutely.
And have to respect that. So thank you once again for being here.
Mm-hmm.
The genesis behind this absolute change, the term for absolute, it came about 4 years ago with me and Mr. Farquharson, Arian Farquharson Sr., where we saw a lot of things going on. And, we used to have our talk show. And so when we look at what was happening, we came together and said, we need change. And then Farquharson said, we need absolute change. So I said, well, we got to be determined to do it. So then he said, well, we can name it Determined for Absolute Change. And that's where it come from the corporate part. Uh-huh. And now the street side of it, because we used to be so strong, especially in my activism, he said, well, we'll use the same D.F.A.C. for the Don't Fool Around crew.
Okay.
And so that's how we come about with that. And so that's why when we walk out, we walk bold as lions, humble as doves, and wise as a serpent. And so that's where we get the genesis of this from.
Okay. And go back to Romans 8, where it says, for we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord. So therefore, they might have meant the D.F.A.C. was what? How the world use it for?
The Don't Fool Around crew.
Don't Fool Around crew.
Right.
And see, now you reverse it now for Determined for absolute change. Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
so turn it around for good. And after hearing that and thinking back in my psyche, I say, the world has changed drastically right before our eyes. Not too long ago, you and I were little boys in school.
Exactly.
And if you did something wrong, you would be afraid to go home to your parents because anybody who saw you doing wrong could have beat you.
Exactly.
Any adult, put it that way. And you have to respect them.
Right.
But nowadays, children have no respect. They're going into adults' faces and they are hitting them back. That was unheard of. And I think that's where we lost our way. I think we need to, and what you're doing is I think the right thing to get us back on that kind of track, So, what's your take on it?
But the old proverb is it takes a village to raise a child.
That's true.
And, don't care where we was in West End. Don't care if you're coming from school, you're going to school, you're doing foolishness on the road, you get beaten, and you dare take that beating and go home with it. Don't say nothing.
Right.
Because eventually, you ain't want them to go tell your dad and tell your mommy because that's another one. You got another beating.
Yeah,
and so, in accordance to that, even now, I thank God for what my father and mother instilled in me and now my siblings to raise my children to be respectful and to be disciplined and to understand that the thank you and you're welcome and the please and the yes sir, the no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am takes them through the world when you don't have not even a dollar in your pocket.
Absolutely.
Just to be manly.
Absolutely.
And so coming in this forum here, I decided in the Christmas, during the holidays, when I repented to God, because I never was putting God first. My son died, I had him first. I lost my marriage, I thinking about that, but I kept God on the third level. Whereas I was advised by Prophet Hagen, repent, my brother, God is a jealous God.
Seek ye first.
Seek ye first. And after I did that, I was just laying under my spirit and I was reading on my phone all the crime taking place in now. So then it was hitting Grand Bahama for a spell. And then when I listened, I see the stabbing in the bazaar, then the police chased the house. And then recently all it is that they killing. I say, boy, I got to do this. And when I called the Minister for Health, he told me I couldn't help it because we were going to do the march from the bazaar to downtown and then help this rally. But then my good friend, the executive producer, Savi, she said, no, Mr. Garvey, no, we could do this virtual. We could do this. I said, we could? She said, well, we got to talk, we got to pray. And prior to that, I fasted. We fasted from the 27th straight into the new year. And the fasting was the first time I ever did it. And trust me, it brought a lot of change for me.
I know.
It brought a lot of change.
Well, fasting, that came from biblical time when Jesus when disciples, they wanted how come we couldn't heal these people? How come we couldn't do it like how you did it? You see, man, this kind come by fasting and praying.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so fasting and prayer have a lot to do with the way we do things nowadays.
Exactly.
You know, so, and I mean, it's good. I just support you, and you being the activist that you are. Everybody know in the community know Troy Garvey. And when you speak, you always speak passionate about the things that you're passionate about. And so, and I'm happy to know in the direction in which you're headed. I got your, I'm behind you 100%.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
I know a lot of people, when you talked about the radio show, a lot of the guests that you had from time to time, a lot of them are, their voice is silent in death.
Right.
You see, so thank God that you're still here with the fight to keep it going on. And so, my brother, I just encourage you to continue doing what you're doing.
And well, you know, for you to support me, you know, I know you get on the stage and you see me in the audience.
Oh,
you ain't got to worry with me no more then.
See, and I pick on you because you are pick-onable.
Exactly. Well, you know, it has brought me to the point where I was procrastinating for 2 years. You know, from Street Life to Straight Life is my book name.
Okay.
And I'm going to write a book coming off the streets and, you know, hustling and hanging out and partying and, you know, and then you get into the straight life where it ain't easy in the straight life.
No,
it is rough.
Mm-hmm.
However, I am happy that I'm going through some rough time because I said to me, if you ain't going through nothing rough, that means God ain't putting you through nothing, so you got to be careful.
Absolutely.
If the road going too smooth for you,
Oh, yeah.
you got to watch out.
Come off that. Yeah.
So what was so ironic, I'll tell you two things. One, I call you. You say, yes, sir, when I explain to you what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And every speaker, except 2 people, didn't show up for this.
Okay.
And I say, thank you, Lord. But it's still went ahead. Like me and executive producer said, we're moving right along.
Absolutely.
Moving right along.
Absolutely.
And secondly, I was in a revival last week. Boy, and this was going to keep me on the straight and narrow. Every time, my father is kind of a little elderly now, a little down. So when I walk in the house to him, I say, he's called him old boy. Mm-hmm. I say, old boy. He say, hey. I say, can those dry bones live? So he say, thou knowest all.
Thou knowest all.
And so when I was in the revival, the preacher was starting to preach about Ezekiel. Mm-hmm. And I just hold my head down and, you know, some tears come to my eyes. I said, what is the sin I talked to my father about?
Yeah.
And I start praying for my parents and everybody right there in the church. I just sat down and said a solemn prayer. And you wouldn't believe that following morning, when I went to visit my father, he said, Troy, you know, last night I had a lot of pain. So he got up on the bed and put a jacket on. I was coming around because we live in a duplex. Mm-hmm. So he's coming around, but you remember I went to church. Said, God, just tell him, take the jacket off, put it down. He went to bed, dropped sleep. The same time he said he's having a pain after 8, that's the same time I was praying in church.
Wow.
And when he lay down, he woke up 2 o'clock and the pain was
gone. That's God.
Listen, so that's the first I've ever experienced certain things like that physically by myself.
Wow. Well, I tell you, the road you're on is more to come.
Amen. Yes.
Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And when Jesus left, he told his disciples, listen, greater works shall you do.
Right.
You know, he sent the Comforter to be with us. And I think, like I said, you're on the right track.
Yes, sir.
You have no other way to go but up.
Exactly.
You know, so continue doing what you're doing, my brother. You know, like I said, I'm here to support you. And everybody who's watching from around the world, I guarantee they in full support of this because this is something good.
Yes, exactly. And you know, I was wrestling with the part about asking for donations to keep this going. However, you know, this ain't for free. I mean,
right.
These things, the equipment, the people time, and everything is not for free. So,
absolutely.
You know, I just wrestled with it. I prayed, and I found it in my spirit to say right there today, you know, if y'all want to donate to keep it going, please, you know. I don't want to ask for no money for no ministry. I don't want to ask somebody for no money. If you say you minister in the gospel, ask for no money. That's not what this is all about. This is just acquiring the opportunity to keep the message going. Because we're going from island to island because the theme is our God restoring one island at a time. Mm-hmm. And while we could do certain things from a standstill to a certain point, we still have to move around to get it done.
Yes.
And I just want to say, Will, I want to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. I know you're the host. What is your take on what you saw or how did you feel doing it?
Listen, man, hey. Anytime, you know, I love hosting and I think it's a gift that I have from God to do so. But anytime I'm doing something of this magnitude, I just would drop what I'm doing to be a part of it because the things of God is what I think I find solace in, you know, and And like I said earlier, probably you might have heard me mention before that we are in the end times.
Exactly.
And you have to get closer to God the best way you can, and look overboard, but don't jump.
Exactly.
Look overboard, but
Exactly.
don't jump. So,
And be careful, nobody push you.
absolutely. So, hey man, that's why when you called me, I didn't think twice.
Right. And you know, it was so. I shouldn't say ironic, but from a human nature point of view, and not being a stamping preacher man out there, it was so ironic how I came up with the topics for the speakers: righteousness, redemption,
And restoration.
Absolutely.
The 3 R's.
And look at the powerfulness of the spectrum of it.
Yeah.
2 of the speakers are ladies. The opening prayer is a lady. And then you had the man who ended with the restoration. The man hosting it. The man praying for the nation. And the Grand Bahama, men of good quality, ladies of good quality. And I am quite sure that this should, to me, this is a movement we started. To bring our country back to where it once used to be. With our godly grandmothers and their mothers and fathers when they, you know, I'll share this with you. You know, well, one time God rest his soul, I went up at my grandmother by the Blue Marlin Club in West End, had my 6-pack in the car, drinking my beer, but when I reached to her, I leave the beer in the car.
Oh, okay.
So by the time I go inside and she finished praying for me, I take all the things and throw them in the garbage. That's how powerful the prayer of our forefathers and foremothers were. When you walk in the space, trust me, it's over. You feel that spirit. So that's what kept our country and probably keeping our country going on for the 1 or 2 righteous.
Man, that's it, man. Listen, I just say, for those of you watching, I just want to tell you, like Troy was talking about what prayer can do. The prayer of faith shall save the sick and the Lord shall raise them up. Thank you very much for being a part of something great. Looking forward to seeing you in the not too distant future.
Amen. And I agree. And thank you, Brother Will Stubbs. Thank you, viewers. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of the speakers, the singers, and the prayer warriors, the production team, the camera people. You know, this is remarkable. This is awesome for me. I tell you, this does my heart good. And Will, you said something. Your gift will make room for you.
Absolutely.
And so, to each and every one of you who think you can play a part, Andres, Bimini, Eleuthera, Nassau, Abaco, Exuma, Long Island, Cat Island, Inagua, we coming. Send the email.
Country.
Send
One
the email.
island at a time.
One island at a time. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And may God continue to bless you and bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Yes, sir.